History is full of daring schemes, but few were as bold or as sparkly as the Great Diamond Hoax of 1872. Two men managed to con some of the richest and smartest people in America into believing they'd found a diamond mine in the Wild West. And not just any diamond mine, one so big it would have rivaled the riches of kings. The catch: there was no mine, no diamonds, and no way this story was going to end well. But here's the thing. These con men almost got away with it. How? That's what we're about to uncover. So, grab your pickaxe and let's dig into one of history's most dazzling scams. The 19th century was America's age of hustle. The gold rush was still fresh in everyone's mind, and stories of overnight fortunes spread faster than wildfire. People were obsessed with striking it rich. If it wasn't gold, it was silver. If it wasn't silver, it was oil. Basically, if you had a shovel, a dream, and no sense of reality, you could call yourself a prospector. But diamonds? That was the ultimate treasure. Diamonds were rare, exotic, and ridiculously expensive. And here's the kicker. America didn't have any known diamond mines. If you wanted diamonds, you had to import them. So when two men came along claiming they'd discovered a diamond field in the American West, people were ready to believe it. Enter Philip Arnold and John Slack. Let's talk about our masterminds. Philip Arnold was a former prospector with a knack for storytelling. He knew just enough about geology to sound convincing, but not enough to actually discover anything useful. John Slack, his cousin and partner in crime. Together, they were like the perfect scam duo. Arnold was the brains and Slack was, well, also there. These weren't big-time con artists. In fact, they were pretty ordinary guys. But they had one thing going for them: ambition. They didn't want to pan for gold like everyone else. No, they wanted to invent a treasure and sell it to the highest bidder. Here's how they pulled it off. First, Arnold and Slack traveled to Europe and bought a small bag of uncut gems, diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. Nothing fancy, but enough to look convincing. Then they headed to the American wilderness and planted these gems in a remote area near the Colorado-Wyoming border. Think of it as reverse treasure hunting. Instead of digging up treasure, they were burying it. Once the gems were in place, they claimed to have discovered a diamond field. They brought samples to San Francisco and showed them to a few well-connected bankers. And let me tell you, these bankers were hooked. You see, Arnold and Slack didn't just show up with gems. They acted like they'd stumbled onto the greatest discovery in history. The story was so convincing, even experts fell for it. Now, this is where it gets wild. Arnold and Slack managed to get the attention of George D. Roberts, a prominent banker in San Francisco. Roberts wasn't just any banker, he was a big deal, and if he believed in something, others followed. Arnold and Slack played their cards perfectly. They didn't oversell the mine. In fact, they acted reluctant to share their discovery, which only made Roberts more eager to invest. Roberts brought in other investors, including politicians, railroad tycoons, and even a general from the US Army. Together, they raised over $600,000, a fortune back then. The investors demanded proof, of course, so Arnold and Slack took them to the diamond field. And wouldn't you know it, they discovered more gems right before their eyes. Pure luck, right? Totally not staged. Here's where the plot thickens. The investors brought in Clarence King, a brilliant geologist who had a reputation for sniffing out frauds. King inspected the site and quickly realized something was off. For starters, the gems were too diverse. They came from different parts of the world, not a single mine. And the arrangement of the gems, let's just say it looked more like a toddler's craft project than a natural deposit. King blew the whistle and the truth came out. The diamond mine was a complete fabrication. The investors were furious, but Arnold and Slack were already long gone, with all the money. So, what happened to our con men? Arnold retired to Kentucky and lived a pretty comfortable life, but Slack disappeared into obscurity. The investors, meanwhile, were left to lick their wounds and vow never to trust anyone again. Fun fact: Clarence King went on to become the first director of the US Geological Survey. Not bad for a guy who exposed one of the biggest scams in history. The Great Diamond Hoax is a perfect reminder that if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It's also proof that even the smartest people can fall for a good story, especially if that story involves shiny rocks. So the next time someone promises you riches, maybe take a second to ask, is this legit, or am I about to get Arnold and Slacked? And so, the Great Diamond Hoax of 1872 came to an end. Not with riches, but with a lesson. Arnold and Slack may have fooled the brightest minds of their time, but they couldn't outrun the truth. Their scam shined bright for a moment, like a diamond in the sun, only to crumble under the weight of its own deception. Thanks to Clarence King, the fraud was exposed, saving future investors from falling victim to similar schemes. King's sharp mind didn't just expose a hoax, it helped set a standard for scientific integrity in America. The Great Diamond Hoax reminds us that sometimes, even the smartest people can be blinded by greed. So before chasing your next big dream, remember to ask yourself, is it too good to be true? Anyways, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something new from this video. Bye-bye, friends.